All right, so let's go ahead and introduce everybody, get to know our panel speakers. Just 30 seconds from me. Michael Daly, I'm the owner and CEO of Invictus Legacy Builders, and what I do is I'm a high-performance success coach. So I help businesses overcome those obstacles to success, help them build effective strategies, and push them and motivate them, hold them accountable so that they can actually achieve those dreams that they have. I have 23 years in the military, combat veteran in Desert Storm, Iraq, Afghanistan. I was a former Green Beret. Well, am I ever a former Green Beret? Like once you're, it's one of those things, once you're a Green Beret, always a Green Beret. I did 10 and a half years in Homeland Security in the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And so that's one of the most recent things I'm leaving. And then I got the entrepreneurial bug. Wow. Who here got an entrepreneurial bug? Man, sometimes I wish I could just kick it to the side and say, no, leave me alone. But anyhow, long story short, man, I love what I do. Amazing thanks to the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce. I will tell you, if you are not yet a member of your Chamber of Commerce, you are really missing out on the opportunity to really be a part of something bigger than yourself. And how do you build successful businesses? Right? Be around people that have successful businesses. That's how you learn. And it is one of the most incredible learning environments for knowing how to run a successful business in today's economy. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass to our speaker. Oh, please join us.
I have a question.
Go ahead. Oh, man, that's a great question. I will tell you, and fortunately we have some time because this is a long story. Truth be told, it's difficult to transition from the military into the private sector. The reason that it's difficult is because in the military, we have such an amazing support mechanism that literally enables us to go do our jobs and not have to worry about anything else out there. Literally everything is taken care of for us. If we have an appointment, we know exactly where that appointment is when we get there. So there's somebody there to marshal us to the next appointment that we have. Our families are taken care of through this incredible support mechanism. We have basically the blueprint of what we do day to day. When you get out of the military, guess what? That's no longer there. That safety net is gone. And now you are literally on your own to figure out how to execute life. That is not always that easy, right? And so as a military veteran, when you come on in, guys, come on. We're just talking. So when you're a soldier, let's say you're a soldier in the Army, and like I said, I was a Green Beret. When I got out of the military, I was no longer a Green Beret. So the identity that I had in the military didn't follow me into the private sector. So now what? Now what do I do, right? I had to become somebody else. And a lot of time what we talk about, especially from a life and business coaching perspective, is who are you? Not necessarily in title, but who are you in your core? Who are you, based on your values in your actions? Who are you? And so the transition from military to civilian, that's where that transition becomes challenging and difficult in reinventing who you are without that mechanism, that safety support net that was always around you. However, obviously it is possible. And, hundreds of thousands of veterans do it every day, and that's why we're here to help them overcome those challenges and those obstacles and become amazing entrepreneurs and individuals within the private sector. Appreciate that. Oh, we got water. All right. So now we can start. We have water.
All right.
Fantastic. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch it to our panelists and allow them to introduce themselves before we kick off. Jessica?
Hi, I'm Jessica Cruz. I own the Texas General Store, original location in Grapevine, Texas. We have recently opened a location in Mineral Wells, Texas, and I'm also working to open a restaurant up in my parents' hometown of Scotland, Texas, near Wichita Falls. So kind of bouncing around quite a bit, putting a lot of miles on the car and irons in the fire.
All right. My name is Holly Burrow, and I own a company called Equal Business Solutions. We are an entrepreneurship support organization, and we partner with all of the spaces that support entrepreneurs, such as Texas Women's University and other places. Dallas College is one that offer programs that are designed to support early stage and growth stage entrepreneurs, and then we come in and help them be able to offer that support.
Good morning. My name is Rex Steele. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center of Tarrant County, part of TCC over there. I've owned 3 businesses myself, sold them all out. I went in with an exit strategy, and I implemented it. Now I'm able to give back, and I work with a lot of folks that want to start a business, and I also work with a lot of businesses that are in business that needs help to grow their business. And there's no fees for our services because it's funded by the government, and you should take advantages of it, no matter what type of business you're in.
All right, thank you. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists. All right, so we're going to go ahead and kick off with Miss Jessica. And I got to tell you, these are all highly successful business owners, so bound to have some great answers. So there are 3 key things to keep in mind when starting a business. What are you selling? Where will you be selling? And to whom will you be selling? Why are these important?
I am not sure that anybody in here doesn't know the reason, but I thought about this one because I have a quick story, and it all comes back to do your research. Seems so simple, but being my original store in Grapevine on Main Street, I have seen businesses come and go for multiple different reasons, and it's not because of them selling something that's just absolutely bizarre. There was a store, I don't remember the name, so you already know the outcome of this. They came in and she was selling, it was salsa and candles. Okay. And I remember salsa and candles, and I remember seeing a write-up in the local newspaper that they did on her, and I remember a quote. She said, "I know it doesn't seem like those 2 things go together, but they just mesh." And I thought, okay, no, they don't, but no judgment, right? Sell your favorite things. Here's the thing: salsa, super popular. People love salsa. People buy salsa everywhere. There were, my store is one on the street. There was another one on the street that was selling salsa. Candles. I can think of at least 4 other stores that sold candles. I can guarantee you this woman never did her research, just walking the street, learning the businesses, learning the competition. And I think she just decided candles and salsa would both be something people want. But she didn't notice what was already surrounding her, and I don't think she created a niche enough to beat out anything else that was already serving those purposes. Y'all, she didn't even last a year. And I had to go to suppliers that she took the same product and was selling in her store, and I told the suppliers, there's no reason for this same product to be right next to each other, so it's either us or her. I'm not trying to put her out of business, but we don't need to compete. And so ultimately, that supplier had to decide.
All right.
Research.
Absolutely. Now, before I weigh in, I'm going to offer up some feedback from our other 2 panelists.
Sure. So I will start with a story about my very, very first business I ever started. I was very young. I'm a trained pastry chef by trade. And the first business I started was a bakery concept that supported corporate gifting. And our tagline was, "You want it, we can make it." And it did not work. And I can tell you why it didn't work. It's because I was too young at the time to really understand buying patterns and things like that. I had no exposure to it. And I didn't understand that by not giving people a way to make a decision, their ultimate default would be to not make a decision. So I would get all of these amazing recommendations from people that knew me, knew my product, knew how I handled my business, and then I would lose the sale because I would tell them, well, if you want it, I can make it. You want red velvet, you want orange, it didn't matter what, I could make it. But I didn't give them a way to make a decision. So understanding what your customers' buying patterns are and how the people that you're trying to sell to behave is a huge, huge aspect.
Totally agree. Rex, what do you think?
I have a lot of folks come in that have a dream that they want to start their own business. And sometimes they have a clue what it is, and sometimes they don't. And the key thing here is when they say to me, I want to start this business, I ask the question, how do you know it's going to work? Because I just think it will. I give them the example of what took place one time. I've owned a business brokerage firm in commercial real estate development, and I had a client of mine who wanted to open up and build a storage unit. But instead of renting it out and leasing it out, he was going to sell it as condos, a new concept here. And that way all they have to do is they own it, and then they just pay common area maintenance and stuff. So I asked him, I said, how do you know that's going to work? He goes, well, that's what I would do, if I owned it. And I said, well, yeah, but that's what you would do, but how do you know everyone else out there would do it? And he goes, it only makes sense. Think about it. Look at the money that they would be saving. I said, okay, that could be a valid point, but how do you know there's enough buyers out there to buy this? He just said, it'll work. I said, okay, you're on your own. So he went and he built a $3.1 million mini storage combination, okay? In 1 year, he only sold 10% of it and had to sell it and take a loss in order to prevent bankruptcy. You have to know whatever you're selling, servicing, or whatever, that there is a need for what you're doing. You can have all the dreams you want, but if there's not a need out there, you're not going to last very long.
So all of you make amazing points and amazing stories that went along with that question. I always explain to people the very first fundamental thing that you need to know or try to be able to identify and then solve is what's their pain. What is the pain point that they have? People buy because they are trying to resolve the pain in something, right? And so in order to be able to position yourself appropriately, understand basically the volume of potential buyers of your product or service, you got to understand what it is you're selling in the first place and why. We all know the whole Simon Sinek, right? People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, right? So why are you doing it? What's the pain you're trying to solve? So fantastic. All right, so we're going to move on to Miss Holly, right? And Holly, this is really a great transition because now we're really talking about what it takes to start that business, right? What are the most important factors to consider when starting up a business?
So I'm actually a really big believer in business plans, and I got to that point by refusing to do it for the first 5 businesses I started. Some of them successful, some of them not. But the process of going through writing a business plan means that this is exactly what you're doing. You're figuring out how are you going to market what you're selling, who is the audience that you're selling it to, how are you going to operate, which is the part that nobody ever thinks about. That one, I get a lot of radio silence when I ask that question to new entrepreneurs. Well, let's talk about operations. They've got nothing. They've never even thought about where they're going to put the physical location, how they're going to hire people, what are their processes are going to be once they have people on their staff. So thinking about operations, and then how are you going to be able to scale that business? All of that stuff needs to come in the very beginning, and it's going to shift, it's going to change, you're going to modify it, but part of being a business owner means that you're roughly 10 steps ahead of where you're at in that moment at all times. So you're not thinking about what's happening today only. You're thinking about what am I doing next week, next month, next year, and you're building those plans to be able to do it. And so you have to think about all these different pieces that play into that. And some of these things are heavy, heavy strategy that you build from the very beginning that lead up to something that's many years down the road. But you've got to be able to sit down in the beginning and think through what that strategy might look like and be open to what you're going to be able to do along the way.
Now, I really like that. So one of the things that I'm a huge advocate of, and of course it comes from my time in Homeland Security, is mitigating risk, right? If you can't identify the potential pitfalls and hazards along the way, how are you going to be able to put in any type of control measure or any type of system as an early warning sign to be able to identify a small problem before it becomes a big problem and then mitigate it? Right? That's what a plan does for you. So having an effective strategy helps you identify, again, the good and the bad, and be able to then measure for success.
Well, and I'll double down on that for 1 second and say it's all about understanding what the cycles are. And in the beginning, you don't know what the cycles are for your business yet. Yeah. And so as you go through that first year, second year, you start to understand, okay, now we're gathering information. Now we're analyzing information. Now we're making decisions. And then that becomes how you think and how you function within your business. And that's what ends up ultimately building that strategy that you identified in the beginning.
Now, I absolutely agree. And understandably, most people come into a business and they have this amazing idea and perhaps this incredible skill set. There's something they're really, really good at. Probably the part that they're not good at is creating the plan, and that's understandable. But what happens when we're not good at something? What do we do?
Surround ourselves with people that are.
Oh, that's the smart thing to do. But what do we typically do? What do we do for real? Yeah, right. We take shortcuts. We just don't do it, right? We avoid it. That's not what we're trying to do.
And I wanted to make a comment on that too, because I'm guessing a lot of people in here have businesses already, right? We're all fellow business owners. I don't think it matters when, but if you're looking to do a second business or just grow your business, even if you're not looking for funding, I think we often think, oh, I need a business plan to take to a banker. It kind of doesn't matter. And I agree. I've fought that for a long time and just thought, well, I'm going to keep plowing through with my smarts, surrounding myself with people that know more than me. For the first time, I am doing a business plan for a competition that I'm participating in, and it has taught me a lot about what I need to focus on for the business. It's also reassured me, and that's kind of a nice feeling to know. Okay, I think I've got a good grasp on this. I think this will be successful. That business plan and going through that process has helped me realize, okay, I think I'm doing the right things.
There's some sort of magic that happens when you have to articulate what's in your brain.
Yeah, no, I love that. So we're going to pivot just a little bit because I think what this conversation has opened up is, of course, we were just talking about starting a business, right? And we've, most of us, if not all of us in this room, have gone through that. But really, the next step is, how do you grow it? How do you scale it? What are the things that you need to consider, even in the very beginning, in order to enable you? Rex, you want to take that one?
Sure. Most businesses, when they start up, which is a very complicated process, and you got to check all your ducks off in a row and make sure that you touch base and examine worst case scenario to make sure whatever happens, you solve worst case scenario, everything else will fall in place correctly. But we say you get your business started stuff, and that's a really tough first year after you get your business started stuff. So you got to make sure the number one thing in business is cash flow. You got to make sure you got plenty of money to handle things, hiccups that's going to come along, and I guarantee you it's going to come along, that you have enough money to support yourself, pay employees, pay your debts, and things like that, or else your business is not going to last very long. So you got to make sure that you're going in there with client base that's already set up, coming in strong. You got to assess quarterly on how well you're actually doing. Sure, revenues, that top line is great. A lot of people think that's how you grow your business. It's not. It's the bottom line, the net profit. You can make all the money in the world on the revenues, which costs you money because you got to get the inventory and the employees and everything else to help make that revenue. But the bottom line is, what are you going home with? What's net profit? So that's a critical part. And also building up that cash flow and stuff as well, rolling from month to month as well. The other thing is, you already should have in your plans on how you want to grow your company. As far as, okay, I'm wanting to expand. Am I ready to expand? That's a big part of it. A lot of people say, well, I'll just go out and hire 2 or 3 people, and that'll help me expand. You got to make sure you're ready financially. You got to make sure you're ready with having the capacity of the equipment or tools that's needed to do the job itself. Working with us at the SBDC or any SBDC out there, they will help you analyze that to make sure and run ratios on your financials to make sure that you understand you're ready or you're not ready to go and expand your business. That's a critical point that can hurt. I've had companies almost went bankrupt because they expanded too fast without having the necessary funding to make it work. Okay, so a lot of things that goes into play here on expanding your stuff, and are you ready to expand as well?
Rex, I forgot. I heard you say that it costs a lot of money to use your services.
No, it doesn't cost you anything.
There you go.
Your tax dollars pays for our services.
Right.
So
So
there's no
there's
fees
free
for these services.
services out there
Yeah.
for business owners to take advantage of.
And if I had
That's also
known
what
about
we
the
do.
SBDC before I had my businesses, it would make my life a whole lot easier. I promise you.
Fantastic. All right. So you have an amazing business, Jessica, in Grapevine, right? What an incredible location that is. But there's some challenges being not necessarily in an urban center, right? And so there's definitely different considerations when you're starting a business or running a business in a heavily populated area versus one that perhaps isn't as populated. What are some of the considerations that you have in owning a business in Grapevine and something less urban?
Well, I honestly don't think it matters. Urban, rural, there are organizations that you can tap into to be able to help. And this is where I'll get on my soapbox about the SBDC, the SBA, Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small businesses. I see Mama Moore over there that's been in and I didn't even realize until this morning that Beth was
I'm a business advisor.
business advisor.
10,000
Blanked out on
small
the.
businesses.
And I don't want to make it a commercial about it, but if anybody has not looked into the program, another free program that's almost like a little mini MBA. And y'all, the experiences and the support and the growth that I've received from that program, but there's so many others. That's not the only one. I'm a huge fan of it, but I mean, connect yourself with learning, connect yourself with organizations and with programs for entrepreneurs, I know that I saw something at one point where the SBA had teamed up with the USDA to do a program on farming and ranching. I mean, whatever you need to learn, it's out there. And I don't think there's any excuse for whether you're urban or rural. If you have a computer, you have access to a computer, the resources are limitless.
That's fantastic. I'm gonna let you squeeze in there, Holly, for just a second, but I'm gonna say something in advance if you don't mind. So I had a friend of mine that worked for me that, this is in Homeland Security days. He was responsible for writing curriculum for me, and we were building probably about 10 different courses at once, and he was responsible for reviewing and making sure that the information was accurate, right? So that technical review. And he was backlogged. And I came to him and I said, hey, how long is it going to take you to get this done? We have a deadline. We've got to get this reviewed and pushed out. Man, it's going to take me at least 2 months. 2 months? That's not going to cut it, right? And he goes, well, man, it's only me. Aha, it's only you, right? And so when we look at, I don't have time to take advantage of the things that are free to us, right? There are so many free resources. There's so many things that helps us be successful that we don't leverage because we think we don't have time. The reality is we're wasting time, right? We're wasting significant time. We're putting our businesses at risk because we haven't leveraged the knowledge that would give us exponential growth, right? And so we have amazing resources that we're going to continue to talk through, but I just wanted to make that point that it's not just about having the resources available, it's getting in your head that I have and must make time to take advantage of those resources. Holly?
So I will lean a little bit into kind of why we do what we do as a company, and it's because over time I realized that the difference between people that come into opening a business with capital and understanding how capital works versus those of us, and I'm in the same bucket, that didn't understand how it works and didn't have capital, the biggest difference is there's a line item that people that understand capital always have in the very beginning, and it's the pay people that know how to do what I don't know how to do. And so my business, we partner with these organizations. One of our partners is Texas Women's University that offers a program through the governor's office. Anyone that is a female or female identifying in the state of Texas can get free advising to start and grow their business. And so the reason we do this is that specific line item, is that it gives people that don't have the capital or don't have an understanding of how capital works yet the ability to fill in that line item with a free resource. So you can get access to people that have that deep skill set, that deep knowledge set that you wouldn't necessarily be able to bring in as a consultant yet because you're not there yet. But we fill that gap. And so we partner with organizations across the U.S. to be able to do that. And so there's tons and tons of programs. And so I would say just reach into all the resources that are there, because some of them are absolutely amazing and they're filled with really, really expert people that are there to support what you're doing.
Fantastic. Rex, you want to jump in there, or is that good?
I totally agree with that. And a lot of people, they're scared of it if you say free. They say, well, what can I get for free? Well, you know, these organizations, these folks have been there. They've had their businesses. They're well educated. Take advantage of that. I mean, one of the things that a mentor once taught me is surround yourself with professional people that can protect you and help grow you. And it's very difficult to be successful by yourself. Take advantage of what's available to you. It will pay off.
So you said something that I think is critically important, Clarence. You kind of alluded to that, of surrounding yourself with people sometimes that are much smarter than you are. And as individuals that are those solopreneurs, they struggle with that concept. They struggle with surrounding themselves with subject matter experts in their field because they think it takes away from their leadership. The reality is, surrounding yourself with incredibly intelligent, qualified, and capable individuals is a testament to your leadership. It's a mindset, right? So it's that growth mindset. So fantastic answer. All right, so Holly, we're going to come right back to you, and we're going to talk about, share with us what are the 4 pillars of a successful business and why are they important?
Yeah, I'll try not to get off track and give only 2. So the first one of those is going to be understanding who your audience is, who you're selling to, and what that need is. The second one is going to be that operational piece, understanding how are you going to deliver on what you're trying to deliver on, which, as I mentioned previously, is where I often get crickets when I ask the question. So that's the piece that's often missing. You have a great idea, you know your audience, all those other things, but you forgot to build out that piece about how are we going to do what we said we're going to do. The third one is going to be capital. And simply, I'm going to approach that from a stance of you may not actually need capital, but you need to understand how capital works. And you need to understand at what points it's a positive idea to go out and seek capital, and what type of capital is going to be important for you to grow your business. And then the last of that's going to be is, what is your long-term strategy? Where are you going with this? Always begin with the end in mind. So understanding, where are you trying to grow this to? Is this something that you're growing because you want to maintain it within your family for many, many generations? Or is this something that you're looking to make a quick exit for? Because those 2 different ideas, and you have to be very real with yourself about what you're doing, they're different pathways. And they're different businesses. And so understanding and accepting what you see as that end juncture and building towards that is something you need to do from the very beginning.
So thank you. You know, there's a part in there that I really like, and I think all of you, excuse me, can speak to this, is, you know, as you're scaling your business, there's different types of capital that you're injecting in the mix, right? And, you know, and you stated, whether or not you're going to take this business and run it into perpetuity, right? This is your lifelong dream, and, you know, we're going to do this until I die. Or am I doing it because I have a sale in mind? I'm building this business because I plan to take it and I plan to sell it, or I plan to IPO, right? There's significantly different strategies that you're implementing, and you're taking on capital to enable that to happen, right? Does anybody want to speak on that?
Yeah, I'd like to throw in on that. Understanding what your capacity is, as far as equipment, employees, space, et cetera, is a key factor, which requires a lot of time if you're going to grow, obtaining capital. In the meantime, your mission as a business owner is to grow your company. That is your mission. We should not be in business with just status quo and getting a paycheck each and every month. We're looking to grow that business, either to sell it or pass it on to our relatives or friends or whomever else. But the point is that you got to understand that you need to be growing your business, because as you're growing your business, you're increasing equipment, you're increasing your capacity, you get into a bigger building, whatever else, that brings more value to your business for down the road. Each and every year, you need to be showing growth to increase that value for that business when it sells. I've dealt with a lot of different businesses that was struggling, was barely making it, and they said, look, I put in 10 years of blood, sweat, and tears. I said, people are not buying your blood, sweat, and tears. They're buying what your company is worth. And right now, your company's only worth the assets that you got in the business. But if you got a business that is just blowing it out the water, 200% increase year after year after year, it's going to get noticed. And I've dealt with a lot of businesses that major corporations comes in to buy them out for one reason or another, either to get rid of them or to bring them on board with their company as well. And a lot of people go into business hoping that happens to them as well. But if they're not growing their business, it's not going to help. So you got to make sure you plan accordingly. You have the cash capabilities of it. You understand your finances. That's a huge part. I deal with a lot of businesses. These guys, what I call technicians, because they're subject matter experts in what they do, but they don't know anything about the finance side. And it's very difficult to understand how to grow your business if you don't understand your financials that's coming out. Yes, have a CPA on board always to support you, because you never want to have to deal with the IRS. But you need to understand your P&L statements and your balance sheets in order to say, okay, what's working, what's not working, what I need to change, what I need to modify, what I need to pivot to. Okay, so those are all critical parts in growing your business as well.
So the who, not the how, right? We spent a lot of time as a business owner, especially a small business owner, you are definitely not going to be the subject matter expert in everything. You can't be,
That's exactly
right? So you have to surround yourself with individuals that are qualified, and you made a great point about having that CPA that is, that can advise you, especially on tax strategies. But you bear the responsibility to at least have a great understanding of the information. You don't need to be the expert, but you at least need to be knowledgeable so that you can make decisions. And so leveraging the resources available to get educated is one of those key critical factors of success. True?
Absolutely.
Yep. So Rex, keeping on that theme, we talked about, that startup, we talked about growth stage, but let's, keep on the startup side and talk about, there's multiple things you have to do, in a startup company, but what are the best practices? What are those things that that, hey, if you do this, this is a game changer for you?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of variables involved in starting up your business, and we talked about it already about how important the business plan is. That is your playbook. And you have to put the due diligence in to make sure you cover all the different aspects of what's involved with starting up a business. Your marketing, your build out on the place that you're getting into, your inventory costs, your mechanic equipment costs, labor costs, the processes that's going to be taking place. What is it going to take to complete those processes? How many people? How much equipment? What is that going to cost? All that correlates to your finances and stuff as well. So in that startup phase, you want to make sure that sometimes it's an important part of bootstrapping. And bootstrapping means that you cut costs where you can and let the business, the money that you make in your business, reinvest it back into your company itself. That's the best way to grow a company. But if in case you do need the loans from the bank or something like that, which a lot of companies do and use it, and it's a wise thing to do if you're ready for it, is that you got to be careful that, like I explained earlier, if your net profit is showing a negative for the year and you're going to a bank to ask for money, the bank says, I'm sorry, how are you going to pay back my loan? You're not making any money. So it's very, very important to understand your finances and make sure you build it up. And yeah, you got to have the money to make that company grow and stuff like that. But if you don't, then you're not doing something right. And a big part of it is you may not be efficient in the way you're handling your business or your processes or your equipment or your people or whatever else. So having someone work with you and help you identify these things, bounce things off of it with you to see if it's a good idea or not, those are things that can help you grow smartly. You want to be smart in your business. And like you said earlier, we're not all experts in everything. So bring on some people that can help you make that happen so you can grow efficiently and effectively and make more profits quicker.
Fantastic. Does anybody would like to weigh in on that?
The only thing I want to add to that is understanding that this idea of I will build it and they will come, we should not do that. Go into, if you have a business idea or if you're a very early stage business, go and understand what your customers actually want and make sure that you're actually providing a solution that they want to pay for. Because I talk to business owners on the daily that I know I'm building it. Once it's ready, they will love it. People will love it. Well, there are many, many, many different ways you can go out and find out whether that's the case without building it, without going out and spending out the money. And some of that is simply just asking your potential customers, would you pay for this? So I wanted to make sure that we said something out loud about don't build it, they will come, because that's not how it works.
No, that is so true. You know, in following this this particular panel discussion, we're going to have an amazing panel discussion on marketing with our own written from the Greater Arlington Chamber of Commerce, and I'm sure she's going to get knee-deep into some of those aspects of really understanding your customer profile, right? Understanding what you're filling with your service or your product. So we're going to pivot a little bit to Jessica. And Jessica, you're a successful business owner. You have this amazing business in Grapevine. You raised your eyes like, is that true? I don't know.
It's weird to ever think that, right?
Right?
I mean,
Yeah.
no, I'm not.
No, she is. She is.
But yeah.
So you know, tell so far, right? But what are the biggest lessons learned that you have from starting that business?
Well, I think it's a perfect segue, because tying in with what you guys say, a lot of times people always say surround yourself with smart people, right? But then sometimes you think, I don't know any smart people. Okay, we all know smart people. But seriously, there's we don't have to go out and give people an IQ test. There are two people on this panel that I rely on their organizations. I've been through their program. Renee Parker with the Texas Workforce Solutions is in here. And it's funny, surrounding yourself doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to use them for what you think you will use them for. Even get yourself involved in organizations that matter to you. I am involved in the Grapevine Rotary, and there are so many Rotarians that I have used to help me through my business. It's a service organization, but man, it has helped me in my business tremendously. Renee with Texas Workforce Solutions, I've never hired someone. I've tried, but I've never hired someone using their services, but she has helped me with some grant funding that they found once upon a time. And it's just knowing someone that could help you with all sorts of different ways. So even if in your circle of friends you don't know someone that could help you with your business, that's where you start getting involved in organizations, you know, making sure you guys are already coming to this, so this is a great resource that can still even advance you beyond to meet others.
So who here is a member of their Chamber of Commerce or Rotary or both? Raise your hand. Yeah, look at that. Look around. So everybody here understands the value of being a part of those organizations. I will say, from my personal experience, it literally is the catalyst of my success. It was the thing that surrounded me with like-minded individuals who wanted the same thing I wanted. They wanted to be successful in their business, and they wanted to develop positive relationships that enabled them to be successful. And while we have incredible free resources that are available to us, sometimes it's being surrounded by like-minded individuals that have the same motivation, have the same end state in mind, and have a giver's heart, right? And a lot of times, especially Rotarians, especially Chamber, you know, what do? They're a service-minded organization.
Right.
And so that's critically important.
I want to bridge on what you're just saying right there, because I think it's very critical. Entrepreneurs love other entrepreneurs, and they will do anything they can to help you out. It's not unless, you know, even same type of business that they might be in, they will still share different practices that they do. That's great knowledge to have, you know. Don't be afraid to talk to other business owners, because entrepreneurs are a unique group of people. I love them. They're great. They're risk takers, but they're smart risk takers. They're willing to take that challenge. They're willing to go on that front line where others rather have an 8-to-5 job to be safe. Okay? Entrepreneurs, they're not safe. They want to make things happen, but you got to do it smartly.
And there's the Entrepreneurs Organization in Dallas, right? There might be one in Fort Worth as well. I don't belong to that, but I know that if you are truly an entrepreneur, you don't know of anybody else that is, then get involved in that organization. Boom, all entrepreneurs.
And I have people all the time being worried, especially if you're very early stage and maybe you haven't even launched anything yet, to talk to other entrepreneurs, to go to these events. Please just do it. Just be brave once, and it'll be so much easier the second time, because entrepreneurs love to rope you into whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So if they're hosting events or they're going to other stuff and you meet them at one, they'll invite you to the next one.
Fantastic. So, Holly, you had mentioned earlier the myth of build it and they will come, right? I'm sure that there are some other myths that you know that especially young business owners, startups, they've been told this thing and it's just not quite real.
So my favorite myth, honestly, is the one that I already mentioned. So the build it and they will come. And I've seen many people fail simply because they married themselves to that idea and they couldn't let it go. And they weren't willing to adapt or change or shift, even though their market was telling them they had to. So that's my favorite myth. That's the most common pitfall that I see. But some of the others are going to be things like you need to spend a ton of money marketing in the very beginning. You don't. What you need to do is be boots on the ground, go out, meet the people that are going to be a part of your business, and let that word of mouth carry you in the beginning. Don't jump into a business and immediately spend $50,000 on marketing, because you're not even ready to receive and return that yet. So that's one of the biggest myths I see, is in the first 6 months, people think they need to just burn their credit card doing marketing and being aware of where their customers are and spending that money. Mm-hmm. So don't do that. It's a big myth. Go out and meet the people. Go to the events, as we just were talking about. Go to the events, meet the people. Let other entrepreneurs support you and lift you up, because they will. If you give them the opportunity, they absolutely will. So don't just take that burden all onto yourself. And then the last one that I would kind of want to talk about a little bit is the idea of capital. Every entrepreneur I meet says that they need capital. Oftentimes they don't. The most often thing people say to me is, I need cash. Well, do you? Or do you actually need to better understand how to get your business to the right market? Do you need to better understand how to deliver it at a lower cost? Do you have the right staff to do that? So oftentimes the solutions are not capital, but everyone thinks that's the easiest thing to go after and that the money will solve all the problems. But I've seen many, many entrepreneurs burn through the capital that they are finally able to access, and then because they didn't really understand what the core problem was to begin with. So that myth that I just need capital. You may not just need capital. You need to really understand the core of your business before you even attempt to go down that avenue.
No, that's fantastic. I know I always talk to people and I tell them, it's that whole, people need to get to know you, then they like you, and then they trust you. They trust you because you've established credibility, right? You've established or demonstrated a level of competence that now affords you that trust. Right? It's not inherent. So when we talk about even marketing, it's not, you could make 1,000 videos, but people don't believe, they don't know you. You haven't really demonstrated in action something that warrants them to trust you. So getting involved in the Rotary, being involved in your chamber, networking with individuals and supporting their events, going out and just, again, giving back to the community, that's what establishes credibility. That's what, creates that likability. And now when you talk about trust and establishing trust in potential buyers, that's why they buy from you, right? Because they got to know you, and now they like you, and now they trust you.
You're right on target with that. And what we're guiding you towards here is you want to establish what's called brand name equity as quick as you can. Social media is a cheap way to get your name and stuff out there. A website, getting it out there, because most everybody, if you tell them what you're doing, they're going to go look at your website. So that's an important, inexpensive way to tell the world that who you are and that you're in business. Letting people know you're in business is critically important, because if they don't know you, they don't know that you're in business. So there's many different ways. Networking, any way that you can network, is critical to be successful in business, especially when you're starting out.
I would say just keep showing up.
I love that. Keep showing up, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I was going to just mention one little nugget that I kind of feel like I learned recently, but it's still going back to the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, which I think they have a table outside. So if you are inspired to look at qualifications to be able to attend that program, go talk with Paul out at that table. But the idea of the program is that you are surrounded with other businesses. So we tend to, as a retailer, I want to learn everything I can from all these other retailers. And in the Goldman Sachs program, you are surrounded by all sorts of different businesses. And what I loved about it is you learn different things from different businesses. Different industries do things a different way. And I learned it from a podcast again recently, where I believe that's how the drive-through at fast food restaurants was created, because who designed it he was learning from a completely different industry, and he thought, why can't we do that? So instead of always trying to learn from your same industry and trying to always surround yourself by people in the same industry, I heard recently, listen to a podcast of something totally different than your interest and your industry. If I'm a retailer, maybe I should listen to an expert on building skyscrapers, because they may have a strategy and a way of doing things that I might be able to implement in my business. Totally different.
Now, I love that. The strongest business communities have diversity of thought, but unity in action. Think about that. Diversity of thought, but unity in action. To your point, right? Having an awareness of this diversity of thought, wow, it's super powerful when, again, you can appreciate through the lens of another type of business, another industry, the challenges. That truly makes you a real well-rounded business owner, especially from a support perspective of your particular industry. Sure. All right, so what I'd like to do now is I would like to pivot to some Q&A. And, I don't have, can I borrow somebody's microphone? All right, thank you. All right. So what I'm going to do, I have a microphone. You got another one? All right, fantastic. If you have a question, and I love questions, please raise your hand. Oh, Nina.
My question is...
Well, hold,
okay.
just a second. There you go.
Oh, Lord, she's opening up a notebook.
So he's going to turn it up. All right.
My question is for the Small Business Development Corporation. From idea that I need to call you to making an appointment, how long will it take for me to get in and have an appointment? And then from that appointment to completion of the program, depending, I know there are variables of my enthusiasm and barriers, estimate how long that takes, because I need to succeed now.
Yeah, working with the SBDC, for Fort Worth, Tarrant County, if you just go on Tarrant SBDC and register with us, because it's required by the SBA,
Yeah.
within 3 days, an advisor will contact you to set up an appointment.
Okay.
How long it takes to get it completed, a lot of it depends on you, because there's a lot of information that you're going to gather for business plans and projections, but also identifying what is going on in the type of business that you're wanting to get into, and make sure you understand all the different aspects of running a business, managing a business, and can it be successful. We just don't work with you on that one time. We work with you for life as long as you want us. So as you grow your business, we're going to be there to help you grow your business as well.
And my follow-up on that, you just alluded to, was what about the next level? Because success is not a place I arrive, it's an ongoing process, or failure, either one. So it sounds like it could be for the life of the business. And does that go if I go with the business, if I sell it, if the buyer chooses to go with that?
Yeah, it's, there's a lot of business that depends on how they grow their business, how fast they want to grow it. But we want to make sure that they grow it smartly. And then you decide, as the owner of the business, what time frame you might want to be thinking about selling that business up the road. So we're going to help you prep to get ready for that point as well. And that's critically important, because you want the greatest value for your business when we get to that point. If you're not there yet, then we got some more growth that we need to work on to make that happen. And we will work with you to help make that happen as well.
Okay, and then finally, as a follow-up, sorry, that was more than I had expected. What's the best way for me to tell my peers to go and do this? What's the best way for me to tell my people that I care about who are entrepreneurs? Like you said, I surround myself with entrepreneurs. What's the best way for me to tell them to do this, to take this path?
As far as getting with the SBDC?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that should be their very first start, is getting on board with us. Let us talk about what their idea is and what is it going to take to make that happen. And then go through the business plan and go through each of the sections of what needs to be identified. Now, here's a mistake that a lot of folks make, not because it's their fault, but they will answer the questions on the business plan for what they're thinking. So if they're looking to get a loan from a bank, that's not the right aspect. The right aspect is answer the questions for what the bankers are looking for. That's where you can be more successful in getting that loan that's needed. And we work with folks really a long time to make sure they understand. I understand that's what you're thinking, but this is what the bank's looking for. So let's address it to what the banker's looking for, because that's our mission right now, is to get you that loan. So we want to make sure that we have an accurate type of business plan. We make sure we cover all our bases. Due diligence is all involved. Make sure we understand all the costs, everything expanding from that point on, and make sure you're loan ready before we send your plan to the bank.
I'm not giving it back. I got another question. Wait.
Well, I wanna expand on that for 1 second, because the SBDC is not always the best fit for everyone. So I want to make sure that we say out loud that there are a lot of other programs within the community that do very similar things, but from a slightly different angle. So try them all, talk to all of them, find the one that's the best fit for how you work and for what you need out of the journey.
Sorry, Nina, we only have 5 minutes.
Yeah, we only have 5 minutes. Thank you. Those are great questions.
They were great.
One thing I did learn is a better word term to use, in my opinion, is complimentary as opposed to free. It goes a lot further. But my question is this. I learned this from the School of Hard Knocks. When it comes to figuring out the market, it's always figure out the market, find your market. What I found out, and I don't know if you guys do it there or not, is a simple Google AdWords search will identify opportunities that people may not have thought about. So if we hop on, and I'm not a Google AdWords certified individual anymore, but I hired a company to do that. My question to you guys is, are you guys also doing that? Because that can cut out a lot of confusion if we know if there's actual keyword searches for that new business they're looking to go into. I don't know if you guys do that or not.
Holly, you said something earlier, the word niche, right? The key word is really great at niching your business.
Yeah, basically when folks come in to work with us at the SBDC, they already have an idea of what their business is going to be. We don't work on their ideas, but what we can do is we can take what you're looking at doing and compare it with what's called industry standards, and see what's out there and what's available, demographics, profitable network, all those different advantages that you can look at.
Am I on? Yes, I am. I have an LLC. It's fairly new, and I am thinking about going nonprofit. And I think I was told that you don't deal with nonprofits. But is there a resource that I could still access to help me with these basics of like a business plan, understanding the finances,
Yes.
all these other aspects? Because I'm not definitely a nonprofit yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations out there. SCORE is another group that can work with you on nonprofits and stuff. We're part of the SBA, Small Business Administration, that works for-profit type companies.
And as I mentioned, there's a program open available right now for any woman, speaking to a woman, that wants to start a business or has a business. Doesn't matter whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, in the state of Texas. Free advising, the end. That is the entirety of the qualifications.
Awesome.
That one is the TWU program through the Texas Women's.
I have a question about debt financing. I'm looking to grow. My books look good, at least from what I know. And I'm afraid to go out and get another loan, and I'm afraid of not going out to get another loan. And I don't want to use my liquid cash because I just don't want to. And so I just want
It's smart.
my husband and I have this constant debate about debt financing and whether it's good or it's not good. Do you use that to grow your business or what? So I just want to know, with all three of you, what you think
Yeah, the
about
majority of the business out there is growing will get debt financing, because I agree with you. I don't like using your personal money to grow your company, stuff like that, because I've experienced 2008, for example. There's a lot of companies that went under because they had used all their money up and had no cash flow to survive. So debt financing is very important. Now the question is, are you ready for debt financing? That's what you need to find out. to grow your company. And working with us, any other organization, they can help you decide if it's the right time or not and how much to grow as well. So you got to keep that under control. And whatever that cost on a monthly basis is for getting that debt financing, that includes into your working capital as well. So you got to make sure you still have 3 to 6 months working capital available to help support your company.
I would say to all of what he said, double down on that, but also understanding if there are additional things that can come with the debt financing. There are a lot of banks and other organizations that have additional perks they can offer you for going through them to receive that money. So understanding all of the entire lay of the land, not just the debt piece.
Talk to your banker. I've come to finally understand they're more creative than we think. And you go exactly with that problem, your banker might have some creative solutions.
Fantastic.
Hi, my name is Mystica, owner of Optimize Ops, and I would love to join a Chamber of Commerce or Rotary, but I don't know which one would be the most
Arlington.
efficient. So how do
Where
we...
are you located?
Dallas, but I would love to know how do we get the best bang for our buck, because there's, Asian Chamber of Commerce, Black Chamber of Commerce. There's also like ones that are city-based. So how do we know which one would fit our market or our niche?
Go talk to the people that are already a part of it.
Yeah, you don't have to pay. You can visit chambers for free. You don't have to be a member yet, so just see which one kind of is helping your business. Same with Rotary. Go visit. I would say go to the one that's close to where you live or where your business is, but if that Rotary isn't necessarily got the group of people that you need to connect with, Rotary is all over the world. So go find a Rotary that works.
Real quick, what's important with Chamber of Commerces is that a lot of people get on board thinking everything's going to be given to them. You get more out of it of what you put into that Chamber of Commerce. That's very, very important.
So with that, we are going to wrap up, and I will just add to Rex what you just said. And we talked about a lot of strategy, business planning, the best practices, the chamber being involved, being engaged in your community. Keep this in mind: trash in, trash out. You get out of anything that you do what you put in, right? So make what you put in intentional, purposeful, and valuable. You'll get the same in return. Right? Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists. All right.